Hey guys, how's it going? Miso here with an Epic 7 video, actually. My first Epic 7 video. I mean, I've been playing this game for, as kind of pretty much my main game for the past, at this point, a little bit over a year now. I definitely didn't join when the first game first came out, but I've been playing for a bit, playing every day. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the new content that was released, Wyvern 11, or sorry, Wyvern 13. I'm so used to saying Wyvern 11 because that's what was, the Wyvern we've all farmed for the longest time. But Wyvern 13, and kind of an older topic that I feel like nobody has really talked about much. But here's my Wyvern 13 team. It's Tywin, Terranar Guard, DN, and Sigret. Now, the Sigret and Terranar Guard are definitely not on the most ideal equipment. Same with Tywin. I'd prefer if Tywin was faster, but I can't really get him fast enough to where he's going to be tanky enough to tank Wyvern. And eventually, I'd like to switch over to G Purgus instead of Tywin when I have a more consistent. When I have a better Molad Sigret. At the moment, my Sigret's +7. She has 2 into S1, 2 into S2, and 3 into S3. So that's 3, 5, yep, 7. So she has the cooldown. So she's definitely very not optimal. And my Terranar Guard is on Junkyard Dog, as you can tell by the burns. And it's like level 21 or something. So the topic, and I'm clearing it about, I'd say 85 to 95% of the time. So it's a pretty consistent team, but that's kind of the topic that I'd like to talk about today. The reason why I'm making this video in the first place is I don't think people talk about this much, and it's been a problem that's been, in Epic 7 since the beginning of time. And that is the idea of effectiveness and effect resist. So why am I bringing this up now? It's always been a problem, but it's never been big enough problem to where I feel like it's necessary to bring up. But now with Wyvern 13, I think it is becoming a lot more apparent. So what I'm talking about is the 15% of base effective resist that everything in Epic 7 has. No matter how much effectiveness you have, no matter how little effect resist you have, there's always that 15% chance for you to resist an element, a debuff. And I personally think that's a huge problem. I don't know why this exists, but it becomes a lot more apparent when you come into situations like Wyvern 13, where the effectiveness is so important for clearing. So now, I think that because of this 15% innate effect resist that you can't bypass, there's pretty much no way to clear Wyvern 13 with full, like, one tank and the rest DPS units 100% of the time. And the reason why I think this is because there are always going to be times where you don't hit your debuffs. Even if you have maximum effect resistance, 100% chance to land your debuff. So, like, for example, Sigret's S2 has 100% chance to land, unhealable and bleed. There's always gonna be a situation where you just keep missing your debuffs. And that's just RNG because of that 15%. And I personally don't know why this exists in the game. You could say that, yes, this situation will probably not come up. It'll very rarely come up. It'll come up 15% of the time. As you're doing this run, which now that I'm thinking about it, it sounds, actually, well, not 15% exactly, but there's a very low chance of this happening where you don't land all your debuffs before Wyvern attacks you if you have everything set up correctly and you have all 100% success rate chance to hit your debuff. But it's still an issue for me that you can go and have that really unlucky streak and not hit those debuffs. And that's the reason why the only time you'll ever have 100% clear team, a team that could clear Wyvern 13 100%, is if you have a full team of, like, let's say bruisers, because they can survive a hit or two from Wyvern. Now, my team has Smilegate, who's on 10k HP, Terran Guard, who's on 12k HP and level 50. So the moment that those two units get hit, they might survive one attack sometimes, depending on if DN has the barrier on them or not. But if they don't, they definitely don't survive a volley. So what ends up happening is you build this team, you're forced to build this team where you have all bruisers so that they can survive hits, or you have godly enough gear where you have units that still do so much damage with a good amount of defensive stats to survive a hit or two, which it's not super hard to achieve, but in order to have all your DPS units be able to survive it, like 2 hits from Wyvern, I think that's a really big ask. And this brings me on to the point of that I just don't think that this 15% should exist. This 15% affect native effect resist. I don't know what it adds to the game. Like, is there ever a time where you're playing a game and you're like, yes, I think this 15% effect resistance, like the base effect resistance, is adding something to the game? I personally don't think so. I think that if I have a unit that has 100%, like, that ignores all your effect resistance, I think that I should be able to hit that debuff. And that's just because of the way I built the unit, right? With this game, it's not like you can have an infinite amount of stats. The way you have your unit built reflects in other, in all the areas of stats. Sorry, that didn't really make sense. But you choose to put certain stats in certain places, right? If you choose to have a higher effectiveness, then you're going to be doing less damage. You're going to have less speed. You're going to have less defense, etc., etc. And I feel like I should have the choice of being able to do that and just let's say I want to make my unit 300% effectiveness, so it always hits the debuff, but, doesn't have much damage. And I think that's fine. But even if I were to do that right now, there is still a 15% chance that I'll miss it. And I think that's dumb. It doesn't add anything to the game. It doesn't make me happy when it happens to the enemy. Well, I mean, I kinda, but it more importantly makes me feel terrible when I know that the enemy has, probably not that much effect resistance, and it happens to, me. I'm like, dang, that definitely was the 15% that happened there. Like, right there, the Wyvern resisted twice. Now, my Smilegate does not have the required amount of effectiveness. She only has about 57% effectiveness. But still, it's like I could hit that really unlucky streak where I just don't hit those debuffs and just fail the run. So I really think that this problem is, a bigger issue than has ever been before. And I'd also like to use this time to bring up this the same idea of, like, speed RNG. There's always a plus or minus 10 speed on your unit, no matter what. So you might have a unit that's 200 speed. Sometimes you'll start the battle and actually have 190 speed, or it might have about 210 speed. But that's completely RNG. And yet again, I think that's dumb. It doesn't add anything to the game. It doesn't make the game more enjoyable. It just makes you feel like, sometimes like, oh, I definitely lost that because that unit had RNG, like the speed RNG, or you won it because you had RNG on your side. And I don't think that really adds anything. Now you can say, what if both units have the same speed? Then fine. That's a situation where we can add RNG and do a coin toss to see who goes first. But in every other situation, I really don't see a benefit to having those pieces of RNG. The effect resist RNG with the 15% and the speed RNG. And I really hope that people start taking notice to this more and kind of push back on Smilegate, or whoever develops this game, because Smilegate's the publisher, to let them see that this is an issue. Let them see that, hey, we should change this because it really doesn't add anything. And yeah, I think that's about it for me. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I'm not thinking about something where you're like, yeah, definitely that 15% needs to be there because of this. Or, you know, that speed RNG needs to be here because of that. Because, you know, I'm not perfect. None of us are. There's things I haven't thought of. But just from my experience when playing the game, that's what I feel. I feel like it's not necessary to be there. All right, guys. Hope talk to you guys next time. And, of course, like and importantly, share this, because I think that this is an issue that should get out there and have more eyes on it. And, you know, if you want, subscribe. All right. Peace out. See you guys next time. Bye. Oh, yeah. And I almost forgot, but I wanted to show you guys the stats of my units. Nothing great. My Smilegate, like I said, I literally didn't have her built before Wyvern 13 came out. So I built her off of just like scraps that I had lying around. At the moment, I don't have any Mola, so I really only spent, like I said, got the 7 skill ups on her, which are better than actually some of my friends, because they literally had no Mola when she came, this Wyvern 13 came out. So right now she's on 3 on S3 for the 1 turn cooldown, 2 on S2, which I ideally would have at least +4 for that 10% extra effective chance, and 2 on S1, which ideally I'd have 4 again for that extra effect chance. And her stats are 3.5k, 3.4, 3.5k attack, 10k HP, 181 speed. I'm glad. I like having a faster unit for this, because a lot of times if you have a unit that's too slow, Wyvern will just keep lapping you, and you won't be able to do enough damage, and you won't be able to apply all your debuffs. 81% crit chance, wish it was 85. 266 crit damage, that's fine. And 57 effect resist. Hopefully I can get this to 65, so we don't have that. You know, we reduce the amount of effect resist there is when we're attacking, so we can land more debuffs. And I do think ideally I'd love more attack, but I think this is okay for now. Right now for the exclusive artifact, I'm using this one, the one that increases the bleeding chance of S1 by 20%. This works. I don't, like I said, because I just built my Smilegate, I don't have the resources to try the other one where it's below 75% HP. It'll do S2 into S1 instead of 50% HP. I kind of like that one. I think I might like that one better because, 1, I'll be taking down Wyvern quicker, and 2, it's 100% chance to land that S1 bleed stack as opposed to what it is right now, which is 65. But yeah, that's my Smilegate. For my Tywin, or let's see, is you up next? No, Dian's next. So for my Dian, I have her on Rod for healing. She's there for the attack buff and for the extra sustain for my Tywin. She's 203 speed, 16k HP. Nothing special, just a Dian. I think that one thing that people don't often think of for Dian, for Wyvern, is that when you're using her her skills, right, it provides 3 buffs. It provides attack up. It provides, what's this other buff called? Increased critical hit resistance. And her S2 provides barrier, right? What happens is if you have a unit that doesn't have that much effect resistance, these buffs get taken off, right? Now with Angie, she provides barrier and debuff immunity, and those are 2 buffs. So what ends up happening for Dian is when you get hit by Wyvern, it'll actually take off one of these 2 first, so increase attack first, then crit hit resistance, then the barrier. So if you go back into my video, you'll actually see that whenever Wyvern hits Tywin with these buffs up, the barrier actually doesn't disappear until the last hit, which is very important because it basically means that that barrier HP is like an extra HP that it damages gets to soak up. Whereas if it was with Angie, for example, you'd be missing out on that. Or another healer like Montmorency, for example, you'd be missing out on that barrier and these extra buffs that protect the barrier from being taken away and stripped away. So that's one of the reasons why I think Deanna is also really good. Provides offensive stats with her increased attack rate DPS, and she actually also provides that extra layer of survivability that your unit needs. Of course, if you need more healing, you probably don't go with her. She's not going to be giving you that good of a sustain. The reason why I can use it is because my Tywin's really tanky. So he has this extra 12% HP imprint, and his stats are 23k HP and 15k defense, or 1.5k defense. Speed slow because I have him on HP boots, and he's not even 6-star awakened, so he's missing out on some stats. He's using the Sword of Azera for his artifact, and just to be more tanky. Now he's pretty typical. I'd love for me to be able to use the boots, speed boots, but I don't know if I can make my Tywin tanky enough for that, but that's fine for now. And then oh yeah, one of the reasons why I like Tywin as a tank, as opposed to, let's say, Crow, is because Terranor Guard misses his debuffs a lot. He misses his Death Break a lot because it is a 1-turn Death Break. And even when he doesn't miss it, sometimes he does it before Wyvern goes, and my Sigret goes after Wyvern. So having the 2-turn Death Break is really nice for this, for whenever Terranor Guard fails to do his job. And then for my Terranor Guard, let's just use the filter here. He is on Junkyard Dog, as I mentioned earlier, and he has 208 speed, 77% effectiveness. He's literally here for utility. He's not here for damage. The only DPS I have is Sigret, and the reason for this is just because I don't want to build him. It's as simple as that. I don't want to waste the resources on this guy. So he's just using whatever crap gear just to make sure he can move quickly, defense break, and survive like one hit of Wyvern's volleys if he has barrier on him. But yeah, that's about it. Again, I will see you guys next time.